What's going on, everyone? So at this point, I take it you guys have already seen the top 10 N.A.D video. If you have not, please go watch it. Links in the description below. As you can see at the bottom there, right over here, I'm finishing exporting it so you guys could watch it. But yeah, this is the explanation video. I was kind of afraid to do this one for a while just because there were so many good N.A.D characters, and some of them had qualities that, you know, made them so good. This might be the first time that there's an entire, like, other 10 characters that are also top tier that didn't even make it. It was a crazy amount of characters, and honestly, it was difficult. The middle part was difficult. The last three were kind of easy, but still a little bit tough. But man, the ones like at 8, 9, and 10, trying to figure out who went there was like really hard because we also had Ururu, we had Kusaka, we had Ryuken. Ryuken was kind of bleh, but he still had the chance to make it. Ganryu, Kusaka, and Yin and Yang were really difficult not to put in here. I actually struggled a lot to figure out who would be at number 10. In the end, I did choose Ururu just because she has qualities that the rest of them have. She has the high attack that all these characters had. She has the status ailments that both Kusaka and Yin and Yang have, and she has the debilitator that Kusaka has. Yin and Yang don't have that. Plus she has the heal move, and it's the heal move that pushed her over the edge to be at number 10, but it was a really difficult decision, because even though Kusaka does have the 16 DR, his bruiser is at 40, which is really high, and he has debilitating freeze on everything. It's the debilitating freeze on everything that really made me want to choose him, as well as Vortex, because having a Vortex is great. But in the end, he just got beat out by Ururu's range and healing, so yeah. Plus, Ururu's killer is a little bit better, and she doesn't have a status element. So it's little things that really pushed Ururu over the edge, just tiny things, but man, Kusaka would have been a close 11. It's a very close 11. And also Yin and Yang. Yin and Yang are tied for the second highest attack in the game, along with, I believe, Sajin. I think Sajin's the one that shares their tied attack. I should have loaded all these pages completely before this. Oh well, I'm sure it'll load. But yeah, he's tied with the second highest attack as Yin and Yang. It was actually really difficult not to pick Yin and Yang. The reason I didn't is because they didn't have debilitator like so many other characters up here, and that's really why. Honestly, it's because they didn't have debilitator, which kind of sounds like a dumb reason, but it really makes a big difference having the debilitator. It sucks though because they're still very top tier. They have a plus 50 bruiser on top of their 20 N.A.D link. It's crazy. These guys they're super strong, and I really wish I could have put them on there. But again, it was a very difficult list to make because of that reason. Stark was a close one just because of how fast he is. Really high attack, also 50 bruiser. Oh no, his bruiser 40. But really fast attack, and that's what made me really want to put him on here. But even though I am biased towards Stark because I really like him, I know that I would have probably put Yin Yang, Kusaka, and Ganryu before I put Stark in there. Speaking of him, Ganryu was another one that almost made it. Really high attack. My scroll thingy stopped working. There it goes. Really high attack, Soul Reaper Killer, which is nice. No affiliation, which is strange, but also helpful. He also has the bruiser at 50, so that would have been 70 just by himself. His actual range is pretty good, and he has long reach, so it's nice. He does have debilitator. Unfortunately, he can only inflict paralysis on strong attacks 2 and 3, and he doesn't have frenzy, which would have, you know, kind of not as many hits, but still very likely to inflict paralysis in strong attack 2 and 3. But again, a very close candidate. But, man, I can't tell you. Like, if you look at these characters and you're like, this character's great, why in the world didn't he put it on there? It's because the characters that I did put on there are also really great. So it's like if you think, oh man, why didn't you put Ganryu on there? He could have replaced, oh wait, he can't really replace any of them because they're all really good. Ryuken was, I wouldn't say he was very close. I'd say he was a candidate for sure because he does have that plus 50 bruiser. But there are other characters that have the plus 50 bruiser and the N.A.D link, and he doesn't have that N.A.D link. He has the boosted DR, which is still very, very good to have. It's a fifth of the damage that isn't even accounted for, plus 50 bruiser. And he's range, and his strong attack 3 is a 160 mag. Of course, it wouldn't matter too much with Chappies, but still very, very impressive. He was still a candidate, but I would say the others were a little bit closer. As for the rest of the high attack characters, I'll go through them really quickly. Riruka, really high attack, range, really good. Her special, even with a Chappie, still has defense debuff, which really helps. She just, honestly, at this point, status elements are the big thing. Status elements, flurry, and debilitator is kind of the big deciding factor, and she has neither. None of those. Let's see, what's at number 2? Nothing. There we go. Love. Stark we already talked about. Ikaku, the only reason he has such a high attack is because of his soul trait, which is kind of a waste. Still good though. Ishin was also a candidate, but similar to Ryuken and Stark, he doesn't have any status elements or anything, and he's much slower than Stark. He does have a boosted soul trait, and his strong attacks are really cool looking, but really cool doesn't cut it, so that's a shame. Final Getsuga Tensho Ichigo does have Bruiser, I think, like at 25 or 20. It's 15, I can't remember, but it's really low. He's got fast attacks and stuff. He's still really good. Like I said, the rest of these characters, you can get like another top 10 list of like the rest of the N.A.D characters that didn't make it. It would still be a top tier list. It would still be full of characters that are still top tier, including him and Jushiro. Jushiro was another one that was in the running. Again, doesn't have debilitator, even though he can inflict status elements with his strong attacks, which with his normal attacks, which are really good because his normal attacks are kind of like Tsukishima's. They're not piercing because they technically don't pierce because they're lightning, but they hit multiple times, increasing the chance of inflicting status ailments. But he doesn't have debilitator, and he does have a vortex move, which is really useful for N.A.D characters, like I said in the top 10 video with Noitora. But it's just again one of those things that other stuff beat it out. Wonder wise, not that much range and kind of slow, no status elements, and his attack isn't that high. Plus his link is garbage. Kenpachi was one that I was considering, just because, you know, flurry, but his strong attacks, and he has a higher attack than the other Kenpachi, but his strong attacks and their lack thereof ability to break guard kind of turned me off from him, which sucks because he's still a really good character and definitely top tier when it comes to N.A.D builds. Damage wise, top tier when it comes to N.A.D builds. He can't really flash step more than once, which actually does become a problem with N.A.D characters if they're not ranged. Ashido wasn't even going to be in the running, honestly. I wish he was. I like him, but you know, what are you going to do? For the rest of these, maybe the only one that could have made it still was Ururu, but probably, you know, which everybody else, they do have high attacks. They're just not. They start to go down from there. So, yeah. As for the actual top 10 list, I already said how difficult it was to pick number 10. Yoruichi and White were also difficult to go through. They'll load up here in a bit. Sorry, it's taking a while. Yoruichi and White here were very difficult. They kind of switched order a few times, and in the end, I did put Yoruichi at 9 and White at 8. And there were a few reasons why, because they each have something that, you know, the other lacks. For example, Yoruichi can inflict status elements on her special. White can't. Yoruichi's stamina is better. She has like 2 extra flash steps and long stride, and she only has 1 affiliation, which, you know, is pretty good for her. On the other hand, White has 2 affiliations, which kind of hinders him, to be honest, because Soul Reaper's fine, but Hollow makes it toward you just have another killer that's effective against you, which kind of sucks. All of his stats are higher, with the exception of his stamina. All of the other stats are higher, not by much. I think his attack's only like 3 points higher, which, like I said, it's not very higher, but really, it's the bruiser at 50 that kind of pushed it, and also the fact that weakening is just a little bit more useful, in my opinion.
But yeah, if you saw here earlier, she has a boosted soul trait, but only 40 bruiser. He has a regular soul trait, but 50 bruiser. For a Link, she is better because her soul trait's better, but for the individual character, it's gonna be him because of that extra 5% of the bruiser. His soul trait is also much more relevant than hers right now. Rankar is useful, but with so many Soul Reapers that are coming out recently, his soul trait is just, you know, just a little bit better. And like I said, weakening not only makes their attack inflict only 1 point, but also lowers their defense, which for a N.A.D character is very, very useful. He also has that spinning vortex. So yeah, it's just several different characters. I do like them both just as much, so it was really a difficult decision. This was another one. Kenny versus Noitoro was another big one. Whoops. Okay. Kenny versus Noitoro was another big one. That took a little bit, but in the end, Noitoro won him out because of his soul trait. Maybe if he had the same soul trait, then he would have won his attack as higher, and he does have a boost move. But Noitoro's killer is better because there's so many more captains that are relevant right now. He's got a much faster attack speed. He has a vortex move, which is extremely useful. He has defense debuff on his special. He doesn't have poise, which you know is only really useful in PvP. But he does have double flash steps. I'm talking about Noitoro, by the way. All this I'm talking about Noitoro. He does have poise. He doesn't have an extra flash step. It's just Noitoro for this particular build is just a little bit better. Who was next? Tsukishima. Okay, Tsukishima and Zayalapuro was also on a similar scale that than Kenny and Noitoro, just because they were both similar characters. He can inflict status ailments on one more strong attack than he can, but but his attack is lower. He doesn't have a boosted soul trait. I think Zayalapuro, I don't remember if he has 50 bruiser or 40. Yeah, they both have the same bruiser, so it's just his is 5% more damage in addition to having a better. No, Tsukishima's soul trait is better, but yeah, even though he does have that shield move, which is finally we get a character that's great with the shield move. And his attacks are piercing, which are very, very useful. Like I said, all of these characters are very top tier. It was a really difficult list to make because of that reason. But, you know, he has poison, and his boost move is also a heal move, and that just takes the cake. Okay, here's one that I might get a lot of grief for, is Sajin. Because people are going to be like, oh, it's a N.A.D build, but you put DR characters for the top 2. Why? Because it's supposed to be N.A.D, not, you know, not DR. I didn't count for DR, I still counted for the N.A.D. Like I said, Sajin has the potential to inflict the most damage with his normal attack, but the fact that he can't heal himself and his attacks are kind of slow, his killer is not as good as the other two. He does have things going against him that can come in handy for certain times, but in the end, straight up overpowering damage kind of loses to durability. If her attack was like lower and she didn't have like some of the stuff that made her so great, then Sajin would probably beat her out. But just the heal move, her durability is just insane. Even at N.A.D Link, her durability, like a N.A.D build with no DR links, just N.A.D links, her durability is just insane. On the other side of that coin though, damage wise, his damage was too great to pass up and too great for the durability to beat out. Even though Yachiru does have the heal move, the fact that he can inflict burn is just too much. It's just too much to put her over him. And people are gonna be like, oh, you're biased against Yama. No, I actually got like Yachiru better than Yama, and I'm not gonna lie, I like Sajin better than Yachiru. I'm just being taking the facts into consideration and being logical. That Yama, you've seen what he could do. It's just crazy overpowered. Also, he does have Flurry and Burn. The Flurry and Burn combination is something we haven't seen so far. Everybody that's had Flurry has not had a status element on their N.A.D, or really any status elements at all. And Yama has status elements on everything, including his N.A.D, which basically it's 2% per hit, and he hits twice. So it's crazy. It's crazy how incredible this character is. Even if you chappy him, his strong attacks are extremely useful. So I know people aren't going to agree with all of the list, but it took me a while to come up with it just because there were a lot of great characters. So yeah. Also, if you haven't yet, the last video I did, not the top 10 list, but the one before that, and the one where I showed you how the amount of orbs you can get in a month. And this video, I've been playing songs from I've just been going to the Brave Souls website and playing songs in the background, which is extremely useful, because that means I don't have to edit the songs in, which is great. So yeah, I can just straight up upload this. Anyway, that's it for this video. I just wanted to kind of show you guys that, for those of you who make videos or whatever, that it's kind of a useful thing to have. That's it for this video, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed the top 10. I enjoyed making it. It's by far the longest top 10 I've had to do. But hopefully I can get shorter ones done in the future. I don't like going past 10 minutes on my video. That said, this one is around that time. I really don't know how much time has passed. That's it for this video. Thank you guys for watching. Take care.